everybody out there, and welcome to episode 45 of the Shadow Call podcast, as it is... we're nearing the end of our WrestleMania stuff. After this, we got 2 episodes left to go before we go every which way but loose, essentially. So, as always, it's myself, Scott, and James. Walter will be in a little bit late this time around, so when he hops in, we can get him caught back up on everything. But, yes, and as the title says, yes, we are talking my favorite pay-per-view in the history of the business, WrestleMania 14. Without this show, I would not be here. So, just to give you the backstory, for those who have known me for years on YouTube will know, but for those who don't, well, I was 3 years old going on 4 in 1998, and my brothers were in high school at this time, and they saw this pay-per-view live. About a month or 2 later, when it came out on VHS, they bought the VHS, and I got to sit there and watch the whole show from beginning to end. And it's what got me into all this. You know, without that show, I would not be a wrestling fan. And I'm always grateful for that.
You would not be here right now, and you would not be watching this right now if it was not for that show.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So, but real quick to talk about where was the company at this point in 1998? Well, when you compare it to the year before, it's night and fucking day. You know, you look
just
back,
6 months earlier.
Yeah, 6 months
night
before.
And fucking day.
Yeah, 6 months before. Yeah, you could see things were starting to get better product-wise, but in the business aspect, it was still not doing the best. It was climbing, but it wasn't peak like we would get starting into 97, going all the way through to the end of the Attitude Era. So, and speaking of WrestleMania 14 business-wise, let's go ahead and talk statistics. So, WrestleMania 14 from the Fleet Center in Boston, Massachusetts. Because everybody's got to have a sweet ass.
Yes.
That got a little out of James. A little fart. Anyways.
I got a sweet ass.
Can fight.
But anyways, so attendance for this show was 19,028, sellout with 15,681 paid, live gate of $1,029,230, merchandise sales of $272,954, pay-per-view buys 730,000. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong on this, James, but wasn't it up to this point this show was the most bought WrestleMania in history?
Second most. It was still behind WrestleMania 5.
All right.
Year after would break WrestleMania 5, but it was the most bought Mania since 5.
Well, there you go.
Huge deal, and I think it was the biggest gate Mania's had in forever. Should just tell you where the business was at this point.
Yes. And now as far as compared to with WrestleMania 13, numbers higher in all metrics by a landslide. It's
13 was the lowest bought Mania of all time.
Yeah. Now compared to the rest of the shows from 98, attendance, 4th highest in attendance. The following pay-per-view, Unforgiven, would be the highest. And then live gate merchandise pay-per-view buys was the highest for 98. So, while everything fantastic in business, despite it only being the 4th highest, it wasn't that big a deal because it was only by 2,000 people to Unforgiven, so it didn't matter all that much. But most important thing, this show kicked ass in the business sense. And in terms of the show itself, which we will get to. But Scott, what food do we have en masse for this week?
Plenty of food on this one here for WrestleMania 14 from Boston, Massachusetts. Let's fire it up here. We have Extreme Lucha Libre. We have Black Metal China. We have Jennifer Flowers. Oh my God, I thought I forgot all about her. We have one of the greatest promo packages ever, and we'll get to that later on. We have Pete Rose. We also have one hell of an iconic entrance that is still shown to this day. Sean's ass. You got to show your ass, and he shows his. We have crotch chopping, clubbering, low blowing, middle fingering, ref bumping. For the moves, we have one Isai moonsault, one springboard top rope plancha, one top rope arm drag, one corkscrew plancha, one Michinogo driver, one sharpshooter, one pedigree, two TKOs, one people's elbow, even though it's not called that yet, two ankle locks, one mandible claw, one consequences elbow, one power bomb into a dumpster, one electric chair drop, and it's not in the lucha match, two choke slams, one stun gun, one figure four, one sleeper hold, one top rope elbow, one stunner, and the move of the night, 6 tombstones. For the foo, we have bucket foo, guardrail foo, powder foo, handcuff foo, stair foo, chair foo, dumpster foo, tray foo, forklift foo, table foo, cymbal foo, and bell foo. That there is your foo.
And without further ado, let's get to the actual show itself. So we kick things off with a 15 tag team battle royal to determine the number one contenders for the WWF Tag Team Championships for the following pay-per-view, Unforgiven. I actually didn't even write all the teams down because I was scrambling, so I can just real quick look up. So all the teams we have two separate teams of Los Boricuas, one of Savio Vega and Miguel Perez Jr., the other Los Boricuas team of Jose Estrada Jr. and Jesus Castillo, Truth Commission members Sniper and Recon, Bradshaw and Chains for reasons. Two different Nation of Domination teams, Mark Henry and D'Lo Brown, and then Farouk and Kama Mustafa. The Quebecers of Jacques Rougeau and Pierre Olay. Rock and Roll Express of Ricky Moore and Robert Gibson. The Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher. Too Much, Scott Taylor, Brian Christopher. DOA members 8 Ball and Skull. Steve Blackman and Flash Funk. The Godwins, and the final team, the surprise of the night, the Legion of Doom has reunited. So yeah, to go into where we were with this, so you go back the month before, and it seemed like that the Road Warriors were done. They were brawling with each other, not getting along, constant issues, especially thanks to the feud with the New Age Outlaws tearing them apart. And then all of a sudden, we get to WrestleMania and they're back together and looking completely new look, new helmets, and Sunny in their corner now, which
and a new name, LOD 2000.
Well,
that would everything around this time was 2000 because 2 years away.
Yeah. Well, then again, I think the LOD 2000 moniker would come after this, but still, it was basically the debut of LOD 2000. So
I don't care. They had Sunny in that outfit, and that was good enough for me.
Absolutely.
And this was the best Sunny ever looked.
Peak Sunny.
Yes.
Oh. The sun peaked on that day.
And a couple of years later.
Yeah, well, I would say Sunny still looked hot all the way up until about 2013. Then after that,
she kind of went off the rails there mid 2000s. Then she was going to get inducted, so she lost all the weight again and got back down to Sunny shape, and then everything went to shit.
Yeah, and
she gave up.
And I've said it before. And oh yeah, how could I? Well, it's easy to forget the new Midnight Express.
Oh yeah, we did.
Bombastic Bob and Bodacious.
They're only one of the last two teams in the match.
Yeah, but it's easy to forget because why did that team have to exist? But anyways, I digress with that.
Bro, the NWA, bro.
It's for Cornette, bro. So just shut him up. He'll be happy with that.
Fuck you!
Goddamn motherfuckers!
Goddamn, why you gonna put me in the tag team? I don't give a shit about that.
But anyways, and just as a note to you guys who are wanting to use the chatbot sounds, not happening tonight. Not on podcast. Sorry.
You've been cut off.
Yeah, you guys, thanks.
Zach.
You can blame Zach for that, fellers. You've been cut off for this episode.
Over abuse.
Yes. But anyway, so the Battle Royal itself, it was okay. I mean, whenever LOD showed up, it was obvious who was going to win. So, and not to mention,
I always find this funny. Highlights of the beginning of this match is always used in Royal Rumble hype packages. Why?
I don't. But anyways, and the one thing that I feel hurts this match is the fact that they had it to where if one member of a team is eliminated, both guys have to go. It's like it made the match feel a little lightweight, and on top of that, so confusing because there would be times where one member of a team would still be in the match and they didn't realize. Like Mark Henry was in there for the longest time after D'Lo had been eliminated. It was a little confusing for my taste. But then we get to the final two of LOD and the new Midnight Express, and like I said, once you saw LOD show up, it was obvious as LOD 2000 defeated all the other teams, last eliminating the new Midnight Express to become the number one contenders for the tag team titles in 8 minutes, 19 seconds. And then after that, we get our first of 5 championship matches on the night. And this one is for the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship. Champion Taka Michinoku versus Aguila. Now, yeah, this was around the time when the light heavyweights were starting to become a thing in the company.
They're trying to make them a thing.
They're trying to compete with the cruiserweights, but despite having good talents, couldn't work.
Yep.
They had their face in Taka, but never really built around it.
Nope.
It's like, hey, let's just get a bunch of light heavyweights and they'll just go out there and have good matches.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, these guys work a hard match and everything. And Aguila, Mr. Aguila, the future S.A. Rios and all that stuff.
Papi Chulo,
that's right, yeah. So, they work their ass off. The crowd's not into it. It's there. They pop for the finish, which is what's important. But, throughout the match, it's whatever in the ring, dive, whatever, dive, whatever, work, yada, 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 whatever, dive. Okay, big high spot. All right, we're done.
Heck, if I'm not mistaken, Aguila was only, 18, 19 at this
19 years old.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't remember if this was the show. I remember there was a pay-per-view. It was, I might have been this show where Aguila wrestled with 101-degree fever. I know it was one show where he was deathly sick. It might have been this show, but there was a pay-per-view I remember specifically that he wrestled with 101-degree fever, and he still did all his shit, still did all the usual stuff, and at that level he still did it. Salute to you.
Yeah. But yeah, my thoughts on the match. I thought it was a good match, of course, given during this time with the light heavyweights. I mean, yeah, they just had Taka as the main face, and the only guy that they had in the division that was considered a heel was Brian Christopher.
Yeah. And
that only lasted for a cup of coffee, because then Brian would go and form Too Much with Scott Taylor. That would eventually become Too Cool about a year and a half later. So, yeah, good match. But yeah, it was also a short match too. So, but I feel like it was good for what it was. And yeah, the Michinoku driver. And by the way, Michael Cole, can you please stop calling Sami Zayn's Blue Thunder Bomb a Michinoku driver, you fucking tool. Jesus. 2016, every single time Sami Zayn does the Blue Thunder Bomb, he calls a Michinoku driver. It's
no, it's not
even close. Not even close.
Not even close to it. Blue Thunder Bomb from Jun Akiyama. That's who created it.
Yeah. But anyways, now that I got that little ditty off my chest, Taka Michinoku defeated Aguila to retain the Light Heavyweight Championship in 5 minutes, 57 seconds. Following that, we get the second of 5 championship matches of the night for the WWF European Championship. Champion Triple H with Chyna versus challenger Owen Hart, with the added stipulation that Chyna be handcuffed to Commissioner Sergeant Slaughter. So, yeah, this was the continuation of 2 different feuds, the DX Sergeant Slaughter feud and the DX Owen Hart feud that would eventually just turn into just Triple H versus Owen Hart. So we go rewind back.
Which would then turn into DX versus the Nation.
Yep. So the feud that started as DX versus Hart Foundation turned into DX versus Owen Hart, turned into Triple H versus Owen Hart, turned into DX versus the Nation. God, it's interesting.
Turned into Rock Triple H.
Rock Triple H, exactly.
It's incredible to think how far this whole thing came. But yeah, we rewind back to post-Montreal when, after Brett, Davey, Anvil all go to WCW, Owen's still there, and it seemed like they were going to go somewhere big with Owen to perhaps... This would have been... I mean, we all talk about how 94 was the year Owen should have gotten the WWF title. The closest, the only other time you could have put the belt on him would have been post-Montreal for like maybe a month. And it would have been fine. And it seemed like they were maybe going to go that direction, as it started out as Owen going after both Shawn and Hunter. And then we get to Royal Rumble, and it turns into Hunter versus Owen because Triple H and Chyna cost Owen the Rumble match. And the feud kept escalating to the point where a couple weeks prior, Owen has a broken ankle, and they have a title match then in which Triple H fucking pulls on his fucking leg and wins the title then. So we get the
one
rematch
also
here.
thing you forgot when Owen beat Triple H for the European title. He beat Goldust dressed up as Triple H, and then Commissioner Slaughter just said, "Yeah, it counts. You're the new European champion." This was when Triple H was he had his first knee injury at this point, which might have been the same knee injury that he suffered in the summer, which
aggravated with the Rock,
all that stuff.
match.
Yeah, aggravated with that ladder match.
They traded the European title a couple of times.
Before this show, and we'll get to that question later, Arthur, what you just asked. But yeah, for this match between Owen and Triple H, really damn good match between these two. Really damn good. And also one of Triple H's top 5 WrestleMania matches, because good lord, Triple H has had some bad WrestleMania matches. This is one of the better.
He had some great ones, but
he's had some great ones, but he's
had a mixture of, like, as great as his great ones are, his horrible have been really horrible.
Yeah.
Like Ultimate Warrior.
That was a squash. That doesn't really count.
Still, it's a match. It's still
horrible. And who knows? Maybe next year we will talk WrestleMania 12.
I'm going to talk to this year, the 25th anniversary, but the 26th is okay too.
Yeah. Or 27th or 28th, whatever. Yeah, whatever comes first.
Yeah, what have you. But yeah, with Triple H and Owen, really good match. And of course, you see the moments of Chyna so desperately wanting to get involved, but Slaughter kept pulling her back until we get to the ending sequence of the match where Chyna sneaks the powder, throws it into Slaughter's face, Slaughter blind, Owen's got his back turned, low blow, pedigree, 1, 2, 3. Triple H retains the European Championship, defeating Owen Hart in 11 minutes, 29 seconds. Following that, we get a rarity at this time. A mixed tag team match. Goldust and Luna versus Mark Marrow and Sable. And it's very weird looking back how this came to be. So this goes back a month, where, of course, it's all mostly revolving around Sable, because why wouldn't it? Dealing with a couple different...
fucking over at the time.
Fucking huge.
Yeah,
over.
She was over, but we all could
yes,
say
it was a weird, simple time back then when Sable was over.
Let's remember, in 1998, it was Austin, DX, and Sable who were the most over in that company.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't dispute that.
Absolutely no. So yeah, we have a couple different stories going on at the same time for this match. First, you got the constant bickering between Marrow and Sable, because Marrow's jealous that Sable's more popular than him after his injury back in early 97. And then the Goldust and Luna stuff going on. So we go back a month to No Way Out, where Marrow and Goldust are teaming in a match with Luna and Sable in their corners, and Luna becomes jealous of Sable and starts attacking her with viciousness, and leading up to a famous brawl at the end of an episode of Raw a month prior to this that saw Nipple's tit pop out at one point. "Get back here, you little bitch!" That was the famous quotes, and that's how we get this match. Now, as far as mixed tag matches go, this is one of the better mixed tag matches you'll ever see, which ain't really saying much, because for me, most mixed tag matches in wrestling are not that good.
Mhm.
But this one was a pretty good match. I mean, despite what we'll say about Sable as a wrestler, I thought she did all right in this match.
It was
tended
all
to
about
overshoot.
Sable getting in the ring because this was their first match.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And good on Luna. She does everything she can to help put her over. Dustin and Mero really did well together in this match. A great chemistry. There's one point in the match where it's like Snavid's favorite chicanery happens, boom, 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 and then Mero goes to the schoolboy. I thought that was the finish because the crowd was like right there, ready for it to be over. I'm like, no, that's not the. Yeah, he kicked out. Okay, yeah, that's right. TKO is coming. Whatever. But it's like that moment right there was like, shit, that could. But yeah, no, we got to put Sable over. It's all about her. So we had
the weird dynamic of 3 heels and a face.
Technically, yeah. Which makes her over even more.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, then speaking of the finish, we get the finish of Sable hitting the TKO on Luna. 1, 2, 3. Mark Mero and Sable defeat Goldust and Luna in 9 minutes 11 seconds. So that's the first half of the show done. Now let's get to the second half. And we kick off the second half with the third of 5 championship matches for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. Champion The Rock with D'Lo Brown, Kama Mustafa, and Mark Henry. And hey, there's the Walter!
Somebody's doing a run-in!
We got a run-in, ladies and gentlemen!
Cashing in.
Never mind that shit. Here comes Walter!
Oh, now that's a new sound clip. Somebody clip that, please.
Clip that, please, if you wouldn't mind.
Never mind that Walter. Shit. Here comes Walter.
Call for the bell. There he is. Not the Walter. The original
Our Walter.
The real Walter.
Yes.
Yeah.
That Walter's an imposter.
Yes.
All right.
So
in the year 2000. In the year 2000, this young kid from Germany, Austria, whatever he's from, was watching an independent show called TSW and became enthralled with a character named Suicide-Con. And he found out that behind that mask was a man named Walter Ball. And from that day, he said, I will become a wrestler and I will call myself Walter. And there you have the story.
Yes! All right, well, Walter, so we're halfway through the card, so we'll recap, and you give your quick thoughts on the following matches. So, of course, the opening 15 tag team battle royal for the shot at the tag titles. Go.
Sonny looked super hot. That's pretty much all I got to put in there.
That's what we said too. That's good.
I thought it was gonna be a nice resurgence for LOD, but it's like. They just it was like a hurry up and wait, and they just never got going.
I thought for sure they were winning the belts the following month.
Yeah, that or build up to SummerSlam against the Outlaws, but they didn't even get their relevance didn't even get that far. They're pretty much out the door by that point.
All right, and then the light heavyweight title match with Taka and Aguila.
It was a lot of fun. I remember as a kid, when I was younger watching it, I was pretty blown away by it, But I at that time, I was getting pretty well versed into Japanese wrestling, and I had a pretty good-sized collection of Michinoku Pro at that time, so I was pretty familiar with Taka. It was a good match.
The European title match with Triple H and Owen.
It was what it was. Really didn't turn my head or anything. It was okay. It was a decent match.
All right, the mixed tag with Mero and Sable, Goldust and Luna.
Kind of found it weird because Mero still was kind of a heel at that point, and was
it was actually 3 heels and a baby face.
Mero was pretty much a heel. Yep. Yeah, and they didn't really play that off very well. They cooperated pretty well as a team. From what it was okay though for a mixed tag. I mean, the better mixed tag match came at SummerSlam, but this wasn't bad.
Alrighty, so now that we got Walter caught up, now let's get into in depth about the second half. So we kick the second half off with the third of 5 championship matches for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. Champion The Rock with D'Lo Brown, Mark Henry, and Kama Mustafa versus challenger Ken Shamrock. I want to start this off because, I got a lot to say about with this match. When it comes to the Rock Shamrock feud, this was the worst match that they had. And it's not even that the action itself was bad, it was just... the match was just way too fucking short, and the finish fucking sucked, because you would have assumed that you go back to the Rumble, which we did talk about. We talked about with Rumble 98 when these two had their match. You would have thought after they did that dusty finish, it was going to all lead up to Shamrock winning the title here. And when you get to the finish, it seemed like that was happening. Shamrock had the ankle lock on a bloody mouth-filled Rock. He's tapping out like mad, but Shamrock refuses to let go, and officials and referees come out trying to stop him. Farouk comes out at one point, and then he just like leave the Rock hanging because of their infighting going on. That would culminate the following night on Raw. And then after all the chaos where Shamrock just finally snaps, the referee reverses the decision, and now was the finish. And it's like, really? You build this up only to have Shamrock not get the belt in the end.
Which, let me add, they had a stipulation where if The Rock got DQ'd or counted out, he would lose the Intercontinental title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This was essentially the Rumble match, except way shorter and the same finish.
Pretty much. Yep. Yeah, and it sucks because... like I said, I always felt that The Rock and Shamrock had really damn good matches, but this was the one that I look at as being the worst of the bunch, because not only the finish, but the match was barely under 5 minutes. This match should have been at least 10, and it would have been a much better match. It was a
squash.
Yeah.
It's a squash match with a dusty finish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which it's really weird to think of a match like that, but that's my 2 cents on it. Everybody else, go ahead.
I mean, they do a hell of a job trying to just push Shamrock as that, just snapped, crazy, maniacal, not monster, but I'm just machine that is just ready to take everybody out. They do a good job of that. They send all the local talent dressed up as referees and officials. It takes all them out. Takes out the Nation guys. Just does all that stuff and got him over at the time. I mean, can't deny the fact that the match definitely got him over. That crowd was eating it up. They were, they were loving it at that time. So, in retrospect, look back at it, we can nitpick and say, legit, yes, it was basically a squash with a dusty finish that they already did. But at the time, this is when WWE's in its like early Sabu era. They could do anything, and it would, if it sucked, it would be forgiven, and they would move on. Just anything they do is going to get over. So, in retrospect, you look back and say, that didn't make sense. That was stupid. But at that time, didn't fucking matter.
Yeah, they
also this was
they did this match. I think when we discussed this when we talked about Royal Rumble '98, they did this match over and over at house shows. Same exact finish too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it worked.
They also did the finish result at SummerSlam against Bulldog, where he refused to let go of the finisher. It took referees and agents and stuff, and he attacked everybody, and the crowd cheered.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, when I look back, it definitely helped get Shamrock over, but I just still feel like, especially given it's WrestleMania, they should have just pulled the trigger on Shamrock getting the belt here. That's just me. And then, of course...
even if it was for just a day or so.
Even if it was just for a day or a month, just give him the belt here. For God's sake, what was so difficult with that? That's just me, of course. But in the end, The Rock defeated Ken Shamrock by disqualification in 4 minutes, 49 seconds. And again, like I said, just way too short. And it didn't even get out of first gear. That's the other problem I have with this match. It just did not get going because it was just too damn short. But anyways, enough about that. Let's get to the best stuff on this show, the final 3 matches. Mm-hmm. First off, we get the 4th of 5 championship matches on the night for the WWF Tag Team Championships. In a dumpster match, might I add, champions the New Age Outlaws versus challengers Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie. Going back again over a month ago, we get that classic hardcore match with Cactus and Chainsaw. Out of respect, the dumpster involved, Cactus does the Cactus elbow off the Tron into the dumpster, and then the Outlaws come out, tie the lid shut and push it off the stage through tables to the ground. And it's kind of strange looking back at this now, because they tried to play all this off as a shoot. Because you had everybody,
Sonny
Sonny constantly crying, and like heels and faces being out there, Vince being out there, like, what were you guys doing? And then they interviewed with JR.
You know what gave it away? You know what gave it away? If you were a longtime wrestling fan back then, Terry Funk's selling. He does the jerking and shaking, and he was doing all of
my
that.
neck, my goddamn neck.
Yeah. When he's doing his shaking like this, he did all that shit in ECW. He did that stuff in Memphis. He did it in Japan in the 70s when the Sheik is like driving an ivory spike into it. So
it's just the Funk cell, man.
Yeah. So it's weird looking back on seeing that they were trying to play this off as a legit shoot. And then you get that interview with the Outlaws shortly after from JR. And they're like, well, we got families. We don't get a whole lot of opportunities to get over. And then Sean and Hunter telling them it's about ratings. And they all try and get involved with Austin until Cactus and Chainsaw come back wearing hospital gowns and the fucking IV shit. That was crazy. Of course, leading to that 8-man unsanctioned tag match at No Way Out. And then we get to this match. Now, this is one of my personal favorite WrestleMania matches. A fucking awesome fight between both of these teams. And they just beat the fuck out of each other. Holy shit. Foley going nuts. Terry going nuts. Outlaws being the aggressive heels. It was perfect.
And it was annoying, though. It's still the time they're trying to just say Cactus and Chainsaw Charlie. Or it's Cactus and Terry Funk. Chainsaw Charlie. Guys, just let it go. We know who he's wearing a freaking Funk You shirt. We know who it is.
Exactly.
Terry Funk gear and stuff. He's wearing the striped pants and all that.
Mm-hmm.
The Funk You t-shirt.
But for this match, I like the simplicity of it because it's nothing like crazy like you see nowadays. There's one ladder spot. That's all you need. Not a whole lot with any other shit. We know what happens in the back. I almost wrote down Surge Foo and Powerade Foo because the big, huge bottles were in the back there too.
The big for the concessions.
It was a big time night. It was a 90s nostalgia trip.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was.
Anyone ever
Surge
drank?
Was all over the place.
Did anyone ever drink Surge? Anyone? Walt, did you ever drink?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Well, maybe I thought Surge and Jolt were absolutely gross back in the 90s, so not really.
I think Michelle actually had like a can of Surge, like when we moved, she still had it.
You know who drank a lot of Surge? My buddy Eddie Moskowitz.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, Surge. Wow. Oh, he's a monster. He drinks nothing but Monster now, though. So
I used to drink Monsters before I wrestled. That is hateful shit. I can never drink them now.
I don't.
He's older. He's older than both of us. Actually, he might be about your age, but he still drinks Monster.
Well, that's the thing. He looks older than both of us anyway, so it must have been all those Monsters. God damn.
Yeah. And funny enough, I was talking to James before we started that I don't do the energy drink shit anymore. I haven't done that in 11 years because I started to get the jitters and I hated it. And I was like, fuck this. Especially after what happened with my brother Jason having like a swollen face from both that and breathing fumes from working on derby cars. The combination of the two, I was like, go on that. But
my combination before when I wrestle would be a Monster and a Power Bar because you never want to drink or eat a lot before a match. Mm-hmm. So this is a few hours before my match too, and then after you have your match, you eat. But that would be my thing just to get me going for the match. For the next day, my God, coming off that shit is horrible. It's the guarine, taurine. All that shit put together.
Yeah.
God damn. Anybody ever check out the LA Beast? Anyone know who that is? I'm going somewhere with this because the Surge thing is bringing this up in my head. LA Beast is another one of those. He's a food guy. He's one of those food challenge dudes. He eats those crazy, like really spicy hot shit.
I almost.
You may have seen him in passing. I'd say check him out on YouTube. Yeah. He's like a goofball from California, but he's cool. But he does like the strangest shit, and he actually finds like classic sodas online that aren't made anymore, but people still have them for some reason. And he gets them and he drinks them on camera, and he never can keep it down. And he always ends up throwing it up. But
he's actually a good guy compared to a lot of these YouTubers. He does a lot of charity things.
Yeah, I've heard he's a real nice guy, and he does
He
like
drinks awful.
Surge,
Yeah, he drinks really old soda.
Crystal Pepsi, new Coke from like 1980 something. New Coke. He finds the shit somehow and tries it on camera, and he usually ends up retching it.
You know, I actually liked Crystal Pepsi when it came out.
Crystal Pepsi.
It tastes just like Pepsi. It's just like clear.
Without the opacity. Gentlemen, I present Crystal Pepsi.
There was an SNL sketch for Crystal Clear Gravy. It was a commercial on us. It was like one of those, but it was done the same way as the Crystal Pepsi was with Van Halen's Right Now.
Oh boy.
But right now, you can finally see your meat. And then pour the Crystal Pepsi on like steak and stuff.
Oh wow, Zach, you did the Carolina Reaper shit? Damn. Braver man than me. I will not do that hot stuff. Sorry, not my thing.
Now, this dumpster match, I do want to add about one little fun Easter egg for those inside stuff. Road Dogg shirt. Hey, Mom, no curses.
Oh,
Armstrong
that what it
curse.
said. I couldn't make out the last word.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Mom, no curses. Because the whole Armstrong curse in WCW.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of Road Dogg, wish for him to get a speedy recovery after the heart attack.
Yeah, he had a heart attack.
You had a heart attack?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You have to have a heart in order to have an attack.
He's an ICU.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on.
But yeah, fucking love this match, and of course we get like you said the ladder spot where Cactus and Gunn go through the dumpster lids, and then the power bomb to Terry and Jim Ross. Jeez, I am messed up today. Jim Ross going, oh, good lord.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome.
Fucking bruise Terry Funk had after this match.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
like right on his lower back.
Wow.
Like, jeez.
Blood bruise there. Jeez.
Terry losing his shit like he doesn't like he did in like previous hardcore matches in Memphis and Japan. Are you son of a bitch? I got you. Like, it was awesome. I'm gonna say it was really awesome that like when they won the match, you hear Howard Finkel announce them as champions.
Yeah.
And you could hear the audience just going crazy and popping for him because it was like it was a happy moment because Cactus finally got a WWF title, you know.
Yep. Yeah, and so did
Cactus
Terry.
He won the tag belts in WCW, but he finally got, how long was he there? He was there about 2 years at that point. He finally got a world championship. Lasted a day, 24 hours about that,
Mm-hmm.
But it was still, it was probably the big feel good moment for WrestleMania, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
And Terry Funk finally got a WWF title too.
Yep. And then we get the finish, where it's Outlaws and Cactus fighting in the back, and then fucking Terry comes in with the forklift, and then, there's another dumpster in the back. Dump him in, shut the lid, put the fucking forklift on top to trap him. I got the son of a bitches! As Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie defeated the New Age Outlaws to win the WWF Tag Team titles. This is the first title change of the night in 10 minutes, 1 second.
Which was all for nothing 24 hours later because it was illegal dumpster.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, it was the feel good moment. We got it. Okay, move on.
We got it. And
it was
Ed Ferrara had to change shit around. So
right. It was the makeup for not putting the IC belt on Shamrock. So
yeah.
I
can see a man go to Russo. So how are we going to clear this up, bro?
Illegal,
the wrong dumpster. That's it. It was the dumpster outside the cage. Yeah. Well, this really
did suck. We never saw Cactus and Terry with the belts.
No.
Yeah.
That's true. You're right. They're never. Yeah. I wonder how Cornette took that too.
Yeah. Probably was not very happy about that.
So what are we doing here? Why don't you just have? What's wrong with just have the tag belts? What's wrong with just have the tag belts and have the Outlaws just put it in their rematch clause? You fuckers.
Jim.
Illegal dump.
You know what I'm tired of, motherfucker? I am tired of those Bucky Beaver fucking teeth of
yours. Motherfucking teeth in my face every day. I want to talk some fucking wrestling. I'll be in my room.
You don't understand. I was made fun as a kid for those teeth.
At the same time, motherfucker, like, how can I be mad at the guy if he's crying at me? But at the same time,
motherfucker, my mother's grave. Kevin Dunn cried as I was apologizing to him.
But same token, motherfucker, since you make so much since the stock scam, get your fucking teeth fixed.
Go glory, Kevin Dunn, I hate you.
Speaking of which,
yes,
that's coming
that's
up
a
next.
good segue. That's a perfect segue into the penultimate match and the first of two marquee matches on this card.
One of my all-time favorite WrestleMania matches.
This is the iconic entrance and the package. The package for this match. What a story.
Up next, it's brother versus brother, Undertaker versus Kane with Paul Bearer. So, where do we begin to talk about the build up to this match? So, we go back less than
20 years earlier.
Well,
yeah.
Well, we go back less than a year prior to Revenge of the Taker in your house, when after the Undertaker Mankind match happened, Taker burned Paul Bearer's face with the fire flash paper. A month later, we get Mankind bringing Paul out, and he's all bandaged up. You don't hear the Paul Bearer voice anymore. You hear Moody doing
Percy
Pringle,
basically coming out and basically laying all out on the line. Undertaker, if you don't come back to me, I will reveal a secret that will bring you to your knees. And we had a short reunion with Paul Bearer and Undertaker for a little bit. That only lasted a few weeks, until the end of June, when finally Undertaker just had enough, went mad, and then, of course, Paul with the classic quote, "You done made your casket, dead man, and next week I will reveal to the whole world your secret, and that's gonna be it." And then we find out that the secret was that the Undertaker had a brother named Kane, who had parents who ran a funeral home. A funeral business, and that there was a fire in which supposedly Kane and the two parents die, and Paul Bearer tried to build it up as it was Undertaker who did it. But later,
goddamn murderer!
You killed your family, Undertaker! You are a goddamn murderer! And then later that night... And then later on in that same episode, Undertaker refuted and said that, no, Kane accidentally started it, because he didn't know any better, but I took the blame for it because I was the older brother. And little did we know, later in the year, they would completely retcon the whole thing, but that's another story for another time. If we ever
He's
talk
alive!
About,
Kane is alive, Undertaker!
Yep, and so we get the teases at Kane's
Undertaker
coming.
say, I meant to do it. I did it.
Did it because you're weak!
Yeah, I wasn't going to go into that. I was going to say, if we ever talk about Judgment Day 98, I would go more in depth about that.
You were weak as a child, and you're weak now.
But anyway,
that was the thing that bothered me. 99 and 2000 is when all those good angles really started to fall apart, like Austin McMahon and Kane and Undertaker. It's when they just started really just getting overkill. But then again, it was the same thing with the NWO. It happened the same exact year. Both those angles just started going, just falling apart.
But yeah, so then we started to get the teases of, is Kane gonna show up? After the summer, the teases stopped, which was cool because when Kane did show up, you didn't see it coming. Back at Bad Blood in that Hell in a Cell match, ripping the door, tombstoning Taker, and then Kane going on his killing spree essentially until January, when randomly on an episode of Raw, you had 7 different guys who Kane had beat up along the way, banding together to try and take him out. Undertaker showing up, thinking, is Taker going to finally fight his brother? No P and Kane clean house. And then later on, either that episode or the week after, in the build-up to Taker Shawn at the Rumble, where Shawn and Hunter are beating up on Taker, Kane comes out and helps. And it seemed like they were together once again until the Rumble itself. Total setup, choke slam into the casket. Paul Bearer and Kane set it on fire, and while they walked off, the casket had no body inside. It's like, Kane.
Teleportation.
He is a teleporter. And then we go back to a few weeks before this show where we get the classic, probably in my opinion, the best return segment for Undertaker, where he was in the casket, lightning strikes, you see him laying, then the sit-up,
Mark!
Kane, welcome to hell. Yep. And
that moment, of course, when the pyro goes off and he just walks right, I know it's right in front of me, he walks right through, I will walk through hell to get to you, like that. fucking shit. Yes. Oh,
Yes.
that's such a good. Love that. Good shit.
Basically, him saying that I had to soothe the souls of my dead parents, that I had to ask for forgiveness for the one thing that I promised I wouldn't do, and that's fight you, Kane. And then, of course, the classic cemetery segment. That was like one of, in my opinion, one of Undertaker's top 5 best segments ever. That
He was
cemetery.
talking to his dead mother.
Yes,
Right.
Yes, that was an awesome part of the build. So, before we get to the match itself, I just want to quick say, in my opinion, I'm gonna say it, and I don't mean this in a hyperbolic sense. This match was the best built match in WrestleMania history, if you ask me.
Well, in terms of The Undertaker.
I would go further. I would say in WrestleMania in general, because this is roughly 10, 11 months of build, all culminating with this. And it was perfect. Perfect story, perfect timing. Unfortunately, yeah, like Walter said, it would get so overdone after this. But regardless, it was perfect for the time. My favorite build.
The
to a
promo
match. And the
was
promo
like a
package
10-minute
was great.
promo. It was a 10-minute promo.
Mhm.
It was great.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then before we get the match, we get the announcement that it's going to be Pete Rose coming out to do the ring announcing, and he comes out to a pretty good pop until, because he played for my Cincinnati Reds, and they beat the Sox.
Last time we were here, we kicked your ass.
Boo!
How
Like,
about
I swear, if Pete Rose was more involved in wrestling, I think he would have been a great heel manager. He could get the crowd to turn on him
Walter,
at the snap of a finger.
don't you have stories about Pete Rose?
No, not
Yeah,
really.
you
no.
do. Yeah, you do. Not ones personally, but ones you told me. Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame. Friend of yours had a lunch with Pete Rose. You told me about.
That was Tommy Lasorda.
Oh, I thought it was Pete Rose.
No, where he told where Tommy Lasorda he was bartending, and Tommy Lasorda told him, was swearing and dropping like all sorts of racial slurs and all that, and he told Tommy Lasorda to watch his mouth, and Tommy Lasorda like flipped out at him and I'll kick your fucking ass.
Jeez.
Tommy Lasorda was an asshole, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I remember
Pete Rose did do the Cooperstown match many times. I don't have any real like.
I thought somebody you knew had like won a lunch date with him or something, and he didn't say anything, he didn't talk to the guy at all, just was completely oblivious to him.
I've never heard that story.
I gotta dig deep. I don't know if that was Pete Rose. It might have been Pete Rose, or it might have been Reggie Jackson.
I could swear it was Pete Rose.
That sounds more like something with Reggie Jackson, if you ask me. But
yeah.
Anyways,
no, because almost everybody I know who's met Pete Rose. I never had the opportunity, but he's been in Cooperstown a lot. Most people I know who met Pete Rose had a pretty positive experience with him.
Really?
Yeah. I would assume people would always have positive experience with Pete. And anyways, and Ricky, I see you in the comments. I don't care baseball if he gambled. Put him in the fucking Hall of Fame. He was the best Reds player we ever had.
Hey, Bobby Heenan gambled too. He bet from the ring.
Shouldn't have lied. It's not the act of doing it. It's the act of lying.
Who cares? Who cares if he lied? Just put him in, for God's sakes. I don't give a shit. But anyways, like I said,
the Hall of Fame's loaded up with a bunch of Saints right now. Anyways, I'm sure we got
exactly. You're going to keep steroid players out, but have people who gunked up the ball.
Exactly. But anyways. But yeah, I still stand by what I just said a moment ago. That I feel like if Pete Rose could have been a heel manager, he would have gotten great heat. Because he was able to get some good heat on this crowd by virtue of his existence.
They left tickets for Bill Buckner, but he couldn't pick them up. How about it? City of losers.
That says hello.
And then, of course, as Pete Rose is getting ready to say,
Kane turns babyface.
Out comes Kane, and great entrance. And then Pete's
create a running gag for what, the next 3 years?
Yeah, which is the reason why Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame. And you know what? I'll say it. Pete Rose should be in the WWE Hall of Fame because these 3 appearances were awesome. And this was
should have culminated with him winning the hardcore title at 17. I'll talk more about it next week.
That would have been great. That would have been great. That would have been
That's
great. But yeah, P. Rose just got tombstone, and the crowd goes fucking crazy. Oh, that was
good on Pete that he fucking laid there and he sold it and he just went out. He didn't do anything
Again,
stupid.
more reason why I think Pete could have been a great manager in wrestling, because at least he could sell, unlike Pat McAfee. You fuck.
McAfee.
True that.
Yeah.
Two matches.
But yeah, so then after that, as Scott said, we get the greatest entrance in WrestleMania history right here with Taker, the Druids coming out, and then the lightning, the thunder, and then Taker in the classic like medieval overcoat with the thing on the back.
Good evening,
Don Dracula. 2 more times after this, at least.
Then
SummerSlam and Rock
standing
Bottom.
there, no fucking emotion, no nothing. He's just standing there with the lights flickering.
Yep.
That's man.
Yeah, that was a cool visual. Even though, as Glenn would say himself, inside he was like so nervous yet excited for this. But maintaining the character.
As somebody who wore a mask, Kane had great facial expressions without having to do anything.
Yeah. And now we get to the match itself. And before we talk about the match, I want to get this off my chest. I've alluded to this forever. I've said it many times in videos on my channel in the past. I'm going to say it again because if I were to meet this guy, I want to beat the shit out of him. Dave Meltzer, you don't know wrestling. You give this match a 1.5, suck a dick, and fuck off. This match was better than a 1.5. You know nothing. Fuck off and die. Not literally.
It wasn't
die,
in the
but
Tokyo
GG.
Dome, so it's not 4 stars.
Yeah,
It
Twinkle
didn't
Toes
have Kenny
McFinger
Omega
Bang
or
worked in it.
Okada in it.
Yeah, or Twinkle Toes McFinger Bang.
Or the Young
Exactly.
Bucks.
So this match, one of my favorite Mania matches of all time, and in my opinion, the best big man versus big man match in the history of the business. These two leveled each other. Kane more on Taker than anything, and it was great storytelling, of course, because, you know, they're trying to build Kane up as like he's bigger and stronger than Taker. Yet Taker can hold his own against him, but Kane showed that he's a force to be reckoned with, and for years to come. You know, stair shots, the electric chair spot that Scott was talking about, which seeing 2 big guys do an electric chair spot was like foreign at the time. It was like, what? They're really doing this? So
Taker does the dive and Kane side swipes and he goes through the
throws
table.
him through the
like-
table. That was one of the coolest spots of the night.
Wipes out Hugo and Tito in one shot.
Yeah, which was like perfect accuracy. And then, of course, the big...
In
Oh, go ahead.
a lot of ways, this seemed like a big full-time tryout for Glenn as Kane as a character, because he's talked about that this was almost going to be like a one-off.
Yeah.
He was going to lose and be...
What was going on back at that time, that's what I thought it was going to be. I thought after WrestleMania, they'll have, or whatever, or shortly after, Kane was going to be done.
Yep.
Yeah.
20 years later, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Going
Yes.
in, yep.
Yes.
Oh, but he's going in before Taker. That's bullshit, man.
They want to save Taker for probably
I
next year
know.
when they're in Texas,
Yeah.
which would make more
Taker's
sense.
probably going to be a soul. That might be the only
Soul
first year we're going to
class.
have a soul
Yeah.
class.
The
like
first
Andre.
one since Andre, yeah, to
Yep.
go
I think
in
it's
by
what
themselves.
maybe I could be wrong. So
We'll see.
Maybe we're technically getting a double class this year,
So
It
they
would make
might as
total-
well have to.
and they're running out of people. Let's face it, they're
Yeah,
running
they
out of
are
names.
running out of
Ali
names.
is going in.
Who is
That's
Ali?
Kali.
Ali.
Oh, Kali. That's right. Yeah.
Which
And
Because Batista-
RVD, Rob Van Dam.
Batista
basically-
withdrew, and he's going in another year.
Yep.
they'll
They'll probably
probably
go
say Batista for
California.
not next year, but the year after, because they'll be in California. I think it's going to be The Rock and Batista.
Which that would make sense. That would make sense.
because the whole Hollywood thing. Yeah.
Yep.
But anyways, so then we get to the big parts of this match. You know, Taker hitting a tombstone on Kane. Kane kicks out. What? Taker, another tombstone. Kane kicks out. Now, prior to this, you did not see anybody kick out a tombstone.
It's the
Back
first
in
to
those
ever
days-
do it.
Back in
One,
those
yeah.
days, when Taker hit the tombstone, shit was done. Not only
Let's
did
also
Kane kick
kill
out
everybody
once,
with
but twice.
Let's also clarify here: these tombstones don't look good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying anything about the fact they didn't look good. He didn't fucking look good. He fucking dropped Glenn on his fucking head at least twice.
The first two he did.
And it was like, Jesus. Now understand, they're bigger. It's tough to get in position. They do the fucking tombstone reversal spot.
The reversal when Kane hit it perfectly.
Jesus. And fucking Glenn has to honk him up there to get in position, not kill him on that first one there. Then Taker has to do the trifecta, to put him on the unholy trinity, if you will.
Don Morocco's tombstone was way safer.
Way safer, yeah.
Than these
if I'm not mistaken.
I'll even say the one the previous year when Sid reversed it and did it himself was safer than the first two Taker did.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, Undertaker's the only person to ever kick out of Kane's tombstone.
Oh.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because anytime Kane hit the tombstone, shit was done afterwards. So,
which that would make sense that Undertaker would be the only person to ever kick out of Kane's tombstone,
and it would further the narrative that this was going to be the one and done for Kane. Because why wouldn't you kick out of it? He was never going to use it again in their mindset at the time.
Yeah. And on top of that, with the fact that Kane being the first one to kick out of the tombstone, not just once but twice, put Kane over huge in this match.
What even did it further was the third tombstone and he kicking out at 3.5.
Just barely, yeah.
Yeah, so so the closing moments, Taker doing the flying clothesline off the top rope, then a more perfect tombstone on Kane, and then hook of the leg, 1, 2, 3, and yet Kane kicks out right after 3, and in the end, Undertaker defeated Kane in 17 minutes, 5 seconds. Post-match, Kane would get right back up, continue his assault on Taker, tombstone on the chair, and as James can attest, apart from Stone Cold the year before at 13, no one else looked stronger in defeat than Kane. Because Kane entered this match strong, yet even in defeat, he came out arguably stronger than he did coming in.
Both guys went over. Even though one guy won, one guy lost, they both went over.
Yeah, the match gets over that way, and it's brilliantly done.
Yeah. And honestly, when you look back at it now, considering what Walter said about with this feud being overdone afterwards, honestly, I feel like the true story ended at Unforgiven with the Inferno match. After that, Taker and Kane never could top their first two matches ever again. Their matches after Unforgiven just got gradually worse and worse and worse, to the point where their matches in 2010 were the bottom of the barrel. And it's sad because it does kind of hurt the story a little bit, the fact that they just kept going and going and going. The closest that the feud meant anything again was the build up to 20. That was really it. So, but it doesn't take away the fact that the original story, the original matches here, and then the month later at Unforgiven were fantastic. So there you go.
But definitely acknowledge no magic without Paul Bearer.
That too.
Without involved with that and just doing what he does during this match. After the second tombstone, they cut to him and he's like, like Paul Heyman does nowadays, He's all
freaking. Did you hear Paul go, "Damn you, dead man! Damn you to hell!
Damn you to hell!"
But now with that match done, now it's on to the main event, second marquee match, and the final championship match of the night for the WWF Championship with Mike Tyson's special guest enforcer.
The match that sold this show.
Yes.
And the swan song of Shawn Michaels, we would not see him again in another WWE ring for what?
4 years? 4.5 years.
4 years.
4.5.
Yeah.
He only had one match in between.
Versus challenger Stone Cold Steve Austin. So really the beginning of this build goes back to Austin winning the Rumble. And when you really look at it, really this story was mainly Austin and Tyson. Pretty much, because Shawn was the champion and he was the third wheel. Well,
Shawn was off TV.
Well, yeah, I was going to get to that.
I was going to
get to that because Shawn basically had no choice but to be the third wheel because of the back injury he got 2 months prior at the Rumble. That, and of course the booze and the drug problems at the time compelling that. But you would see Shawn from time to time getting involved in stuff like I brought up earlier with the dumpster match when he and Hunter and the Outlaws had Austin tied up in the ropes. This, Austin, is the closest you're going to get to the title. And then, of course, the infamous story that the day before, or a couple days before, when they were doing the public workout thing outdoors, and Shawn talking, and someone throws a battery, hits him in the head, and Shawn, pissed off, walks out, but runs back in to continue on with everything. And then that classic shot of he and Tyson kissing Austin's head while he's tied up in the ropes. And then, of course, the other infamous story behind the scenes, after the Taker-Kane match, Taker tied up his fists, waiting in Gorilla, because he told Shawn, if you do not go out there and do the job and drop the belt to Austin,
he didn't say anything.
You're going to get your ass kicked.
Nope, that's not what he said. He never said that to Shawn. That's not part of the story, no. The timeline goes that Cornette was the first one to spill the beans, that Taker wrapped up his fists, sat at Gorilla, and watched the match to make sure that Shawn did business right. Later on, that comes out. Shawn is doing press conferences or Q&As, panels, whatever, and he gets asked that question, and he denies it because he's like, that's not the way Taker does business. So, no, that never happened. Fast forward again to Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast with Taker, where Taker admits, yeah, I did that, and I lied to Shawn about it. So he never said anything to Shawn. He just sat back there with the tape on, watched the match, and once it's over, got up, took the tape off, and went and changed. So, yeah, he never told Shawn until after the fact.
Wouldn't have that been a fucking show if Shawn tried to pull shenanigans and Taker just beat the shit out of him?
Taker comes out and beats the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sure Shawn never comes back.
What would have happened, honestly, and this would have been a great build-up to SummerSlam, though, if something like that happened. Taker just comes out of nowhere. Shawn stops and says, oh, shit, and just goes. It would have fit in perfectly, honestly. It would have been payoff for Taker getting back at Shawn for the fuckovers in '97. Yep. It would have led in for Taker saying, you owe me the match at SummerSlam. It would have been, I'm sure Vince would have been like, let's not do that again.
Yeah.
But imagine if Taker just came right out, Shawn's doing his stupid bullshit. Shawn looks, gives oh shit face, stops for a second, kind of puts two and two together. He goes, yeah, okay, I'm being an asshole right now. Let me get back in the ring and finish the match.
Oh, God.
Sure, yeah. Vince would have lost his mind, obviously.
Vince
probably would have taken Taker off TV.
What the fuck is going on?
He would have probably taken Taker off TV for a couple of weeks, as punishment, but I think it would have fell into place. Everything would have made sense.
Yeah, it would have. But now we get to the match itself, and of course the terrible live performance of the DX Band. Rest in peace, Chris Warren.
I'm sorry.
The DX Band, good in studio, but you sucked live.
Shout out though to Johnston there, the man himself who makes all the music on guitar.
Yep. But we get the match itself. Now, the way I look at this match, because a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about this match. You have the group of guys that felt this was an amazing match between these two. Then you have the group that hate this match for the simple fact that both guys were hurt. I'm in the middle. I think this was a really good main event between these two. However, you can tell they were both not 100%, especially Shawn. Because you'll see his face during the match. He's wincing, constantly going, damn it, because of his back. Of course, we know now with Austin having the neck problems that stem back to SummerSlam the prior August. So, and then you look at it further, you go back to King of the Ring when these two had their match, and they were both healthy, and that match was fantastic despite the finish being bad yet understandable. But that match was an amazing match, and they were both healthy, and then you get here and they're both hurt. So I'm in the middle about it. I feel it was a really good main event, but could you imagine how much better it would have been if they were both healthy? Holy shit, it could have been top 5 Mania match of all time if they were both healthy. But given the circumstances, it was a really good main event.
It did what it needed to do. It was Austin's time. The Austin era has begun, as JR coined, and it was time for Shawn to go away and fix his back, get cleaned up, whatever. He needed to go away completely anyway, because so many people were sick of his shit. They wanted Steve to get the spot. They knew he deserved it, and it was time to go in a new direction. All the money that Vince put into this show with Tyson and Tyson's entourage. You notice the people at ringside, who are sitting there, who are like Tyson's like bodyguards. They're just like standing there, sitting around there. I swear one of them would block his face every time the camera was on him. He's the guy walking ahead of Austin and Tyson, going through the curtain when they're walking to the back. He looks like Farouk from behind with a vest on. But so you get that whole crew there, just all the money, all the publicity with Tyson, and all the mainstream media got, bro, it's going to get so much attention, bro. And it made his money back tenfold, and we see where it went after that.
Okay. I thought Walter or James was going to add more to it. If you want to.
Hit that on the head. I'm with you on this, Levi. I thought it was a good match, especially for Sean, who was a guy who was pretty much broken at that time physically, and also he didn't give a shit anymore.
No.
He was done. He was checked out, but he also, even when he's checked out, Shawn Michaels still delivers and puts forth a good, solid performance. Except for when at the end when Tyson decks him and he drops down and he's just not selling it.
Yep.
It
was better than the punch that Buster Douglas gave Macho Man.
That's true.
Or the punch that T gave Piper. That was nothing. It was air.
Oh, you want to know more about that? You want to know more about that? Go to We Are Pro Wrestling and listen to James' review of WrestleMania 2.
Yes. Plug there. But yeah, so in the end, and then of course the finishing sequence was great though. The finishing sequence with counter for the super kick, stunner, counter, kick, counter, and then finally the stunner. Mike Tyson coming in. Fast count, but Austin beat Shawn. So we find out Tyson joining DX was nothing but a total ruse. He was on Austin's side the whole time.
Tyson double cross DX!
Yes. And that was a cool moment to see Tyson hold up Austin and Austin with the winged eagle and the shirt. So, and then the post match, Shawn gets up and he's like, "What's going on? Hey, what are you doing with the Austin shirt? You were in DX." Shove, blah.
Pow. And incidentally, one stunner.
Yes. It was just one stunner that needed to happen, not 5.
Nope.
But yeah, so that was a cool ending. And of course, Shawn, when you look back with Shawn, he was scared shitless to do that spot with Tyson because it's like, oh fuck, he's one of the greatest boxers of all time and I gotta take a punch from him? Oh, damn it, what have I gotten myself into? And then of course, the rumored whole story is that after that, when Tyson draped the Austin 316 shirt over top of Shawn, that legit pissed Shawn off because that supposedly wasn't scripted for the whole thing. And then that's what led. So now because if you put 2 and 2 together, then you say, watch the press conference after the show when Austin and Tyson are talking and you see Shawn kick the door in anger. I think we kind of figure out why. It's because he was pissed at Tyson for the t-shirt thing. Yeah. But it is what it is.
I had a long belt? What the fuck?
But in the end, Stone Cold Steve Austin defeated Shawn Michaels to win the WWF Championship in 20 minutes, 8 seconds. So overall, WrestleMania 14, to me, it's my favorite show of all time, but being unbiased, top 5 WrestleMania of all time. Most of the show delivered and then some. And of course, we had some classic moments. The Austin era begins, Undertaker and Kane being a classic, Cactus and Chainsaw having the feel-good moment of the night, and the return of the Road Warriors with Sonny in their corner now. So you had a lot of memorable things on this night, and a lot of people say that this is where the Attitude Era officially started. I disagree. To me, that started a year before I Mania 13, personally. Mm-hmm. But did it solidify the Attitude Era? Abso-fucking-lutely it did. And of course,
it set the course.
It set the course for where they were going for the next few years. And of course, when you look at the business, fucking amazing business numbers. So overall, WrestleMania 14, one of the best Manias of all time. If you guys haven't seen it, where have you been? Go watch it. If you haven't in a while, go watch it. Fucking an awesome show. Now on to favorite, least favorite, and sleeper match of the night. For me, favorite match, easily Undertaker and Kane. The sleeper match, There's a few matches on this show that you could put into this, but I'm going to actually go with the mixed tag match with Mero and Sable and Goldust and Luna. And then for least favorite, I talked about in depth earlier. I'm going to say least favorite's the IC title match, just because it was way too short. It didn't get going. And plus, I still feel like Shamrock should have got the belt, so it sours the match on me. So there you go. Scott?
Favorite for me, I'm tied. I'm tied between Taker and Kane and the main event, because as good as Taker and Kane was, and it was fantastic for a match, their battle was, the story behind Shawn and Steve, leading up to the one stunner, the 1, 2, 3, the crowd going apeshit, Mike Tyson holding his hand up, the Austin era begins. I mean, it's as memorable, if not more. But there's so much, parity between the two of them. I got to say it's a tie for me. Sleeper for me is the tag title match. I love it. It's a good basic brawl. There's nothing out of the ordinary with it. Everything makes sense in the match, and it does what it needs to do. At least they got that title match. They got that title finally in WWE. And least favorite for me, honestly, was the light heavyweight title match. I mean, it was good for what it was, but watching it back, the crowd is dead. They're not into it until the finish. And just some of the stuff, some of the spots are a little clunky. It's not just the spots, it's what you do in between that really show you how much of a good worker you are. And there's just a lot of like hesitation and like little pity pat shit that happens in between the spots. So that's it for me.
Walter?
My favorite match is actually going to be the dumpster match for the same reasons Scott explained. It's a hardcore match done right. Okay. They don't overdo the hardcore spots, the selling a spot. Of course, look who you have in the ring. It was a good Smoky Mountain style match. If you watch like Smoky Mountain brawls and such, it's almost exactly like that. All right. Plus, it also has the real big feel good moment of the night. They get the tag belts and all. Although it leads to them losing the belts in a fully heel turn the following week after that. But that honestly, personally, that was my favorite match for that reason. Maybe with Austin and Shawn slowly a little bit behind that. Sleeper match, I'm going with Taker and Kane because I really don't think it's as appreciated as it should be, honestly. When we talk about great Undertaker matches, I wouldn't say it gets left out, but it kind of gets down.
It's like under the radar.
It's under the radar. Thank you. Yeah, it's actually a really good match and great storytelling. Also a first to where you see people getting guys kicking fucking Frank Stallone getting kicked out of the tombstone.
Bullshit.
Least favorite match. It's hard to say because top to bottom, this is an enjoyable.
There
show.
wasn't a
really
terrible match on the show, but yeah.
But if I really got to pick one again with Scott, like Scott said, I probably the light heavyweight title match. It was exciting. It was fun for that time because cruiserweights were an in thing back then. They were an in attraction. You got to see a lot of guys doing things you normally don't do unless you follow Mexico or Japan. But when you watch it now, it really doesn't match. When you look at great junior heavyweight matches like Sasuke and Liger and things like that, this doesn't even, or even the 6-man from Barely Legal, this doesn't even.
Which we'll be seeing soon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, this doesn't even hit the mark. Oh, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, yes, we are going to be doing Barely Legal 97 soon. Don't fucking lose your mind. I watched it already on Peacock. It's fine. Bubba Ray Dudley to suck his dick. Fuck you, motherfucker. None of that stuff gets left out.
Oh, my God.
Okay?
Thank God for that.
So don't worry. ECW is not going to get watered down. So, all right, let's this is another Dr. Seuss situation. Let's calm the fuck down, okay?
Yeah. Piper bad news.
Peacock had to take some things out that really weren't acceptable in this day and age, and nobody gives a fuck about Bad News Brown versus Roddy Piper for WrestleMania.
A horrible match
Stop
anyway.
acting like you did.
Let it go.
The shitty match.
They're doing you a favor. James, go ahead.
Yeah.
Right. My favorite was Undertaker and Kane. Least favorite was the light heavyweight title match, and my sleeper was the tag title match.
There you go.
Yeah, see, the reason I didn't put the tag title match as a sleeper because I felt like that was the second best match of the card personally, and I just wanted to give the sleeper to a match that I feel never gets talked about, and that was my logic. And there's James back. So
this is all personal preference here. There's no right or wrong answer. So
that's true. Mm-hmm. Well, now time to hang out with you guys and answer some questions. I need to go.
I do have Push Job Endeavor. I do have Push Job Endeavor.
I almost forgot Push Job Endeavor.
Yeah,
I can't wait to hear this.
This was tough actually to try to find 3 names, honestly, because in the majority of the time frame and all that stuff, everything was good. So in the context of the time, 3 people that were over or on the cusp of being over, and they are China, Sunny, Sable.
Oh.
Now, instantly for me, I'm pushing Sable. I'm pushing China. I'm jobbing Sable, and I'm endeavoring Sunny.
I'm gonna go with that too, because when you look at Sunny would be gone from the company just a few months later, anyways.
And I'm pushing China because she's going to be, we know she's going to be the big thing. She's got that it factor, the ninth wonder, all that stuff. I'm jobbing Sable to get that sympathy. Don't want to push her too fast. Don't want to make her too big of a star and get that head too fucking big too soon. Okay. And Sunny, we're going to get a little bit more out of her. Sean already got everything he could out of her. And it'll just be time for her to move on to ECW anyway. But she'll be able to come back because it's like, how can I miss you if you don't go away? Eventually she'll come back to the company in that world.
All right, Walter.
Same thing.
James.
You're pretty much spot on. Word for
same thing.
verbatim.
Yep.
We're all in agreement for once on Push Job Endeavor. But now time to answer questions and talk to you guys in chat. And I'm going back up through the scroll. Arthur said he forgot to ask this question last week, but he asked it this week. Favorite WrestleMania entrances of all time? Well, we talked about one of them with Taker on this show. Other ones?
Another one for Taker is WrestleMania 17 on the motorcycle.
Mania 20 when he came back as the Dead Man. That was great.
Bray Wyatt from WrestleMania 30.
I was there when that entrance happened. That was really
yes,
cool.
you were. Let's see, what else is there? Flair from WrestleMania 24 for his retirement match.
Yep. An underrated one, I feel like, the entrance for Cena at 23, coming in with the Mustang. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because I love
24 with the marching band.
That was a good one, too. That was another good one. Cena, I feel like Cena always has had really cool WrestleMania entrances. Like
Rusev at 31 with the fucking tank.
That was badass as well. That's a top 5 one for me right there. That was so cool.
Don't ever tell me AEW pushes WWE talent better. You guys about to have an Arcade Mayhem match next week.
All right, Scott. Yeah, the thing about with Sting at 31, I would have chosen that if it was in dark. If it wasn't in the day, same with Taker that day. If it was nighttime, it would have been
They should have saved that match towards when the sun went down.
I still like it just for the nostalgia factor.
When the entrance started, I'm like,
give me one moment, guys.
It was very Muda-esque.
Yeah, it was. It was very Muda-esque. I mean, it's like literally where it seems they took it.
It looked like remember those Tokyo Dome entrances that Muda had with the ninjas and the mist and all that.
Yeah,
it's exactly what that was.
Other great entrances.
Oh, I just noticed. Good news, ladies and gentlemen watching and here. On my Twitch channel, I've been doing this community challenge where if everybody raises 30,000 channel points, I would do a 12-hour stream on April 7th. We've hit that goal finally! 30,000 points raised. Give everybody who donated those points, Zach, Alex, Ricky, Lindsay, everybody who did, thank you so much. I just went to my OBS and I saw that. Thank you guys. So, yes, April 7th, I will be on here from 10 in the morning to 10 at night. Oh my god, what the hell am I going to do for 12 hours? I got to figure shit out for that. But luckily, I got a long time to plan that ahead. So, But anyways, thank you guys for that. That was really cool.
All right.
All right, now back to the questions.
Yeah, good entrances.
Good entrances. I'm trying to remember any others off the top of my head. That
I know.
Great.
I mean, for me, I love Piper's entrance at WrestleMania 3. He just walks down and
Hogan at 3.
Hogan at 3 too. Yep.
Hogan and Piper are the only two that walk the entrance at the Silverdome.
Yeah.
Right. The story apparently is that the card didn't work for Piper. And I guess because Hogan wasn't going to be upstage, so he did it. I think that's the story. So,
Warrior at 6 when he just ran down the aisle.
Yep.
Or Warrior at 7 whenever he was being all serious for that story. That
was the first time. Well, Warrior knew he had a long night ahead. He was about to work a 15-20 minute match, so he wasn't going to exert all his energy right away.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
One that would have been great had it been in the dark was Undertaker at 9.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. That would have been real good.
Yeah. Yeah. All with smoke and mist and all that, and the
vulture.
crow and vulture.
Edge at 24.
That was a
Edge
great
at 24. Yeah. Even Taker at 30 on his way to the match with Brock with the casket.
Yeah, with all the caskets on the set. That was really cool.
Was
I actually got to see all them caskets before the show started at Access, and it was really cool.
Triple H at 30.
Oh, fuck.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that is when they do the close-up shot of him and he takes the helmet off and just the look on his face.
And it's Charlotte, Alexa, and Sasha taking
it's like
chainmail
Conan
off.
the King right there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another great one, Triple H and Stephanie at 33 was cool with the bike.
Yep.
And also Stephanie looking like the hottest metal chick I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Triple H at the one where he wrestled Cena, was that a 22 or
22? Yeah, 22.
Yeah, that was a cool one as 22. Well. Even Cena 22 with the Chicago Mob and cameo appearance of CM Punk.
By CM Punk.
I bet Punk was. I don't know if Punk was happy or mad that he did that.
Oh, speaking of Punk at 29.
Yeah.
Yep.
Played by Living Color.
Yep. And Taker at 29 too. Zach just said that one.
Triple H at 21. Triple H at 21 being played by Motorhead. Him at 17 too being played by Motorhead.
17 was better because they had sound problems at 21.
That
told you guys, but I rallied for this for the longest time. 35. This would have been the greatest thing ever because I knew they were going to have Joan Jett, introduce Ronda Rousey for that match. I was telling for months and months on Scott, like Anthrax has to do "I'm the Man" for Becky Lynch. It's in New York. They're doing the whole man thing.
Oh god!
They could have started with "I'm the Man," and then Becky comes out, and they start because they
go to Among the Living or something.
Anthrax plays Becky's music.
Oh yeah,
and Joey does the yeah. It would have been awesome, but no, they didn't do it.
No, they didn't do it.
Other entrances off the top of my head.
But Anthrax, it would have been the perfect thing for her.
Mm-hmm.
No, go back to a really early WrestleMania. In fact, the earliest, Piper at 1.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I hear the drums, Jess. Sounds like Bagpipe City, baby.
How can we? How can we forget?
That was the thing that you had that hush. The crowd just went hush. I sound like Corey Taylor now.
Hush,
hush, and then you hear the drum. You hear the drums, Jess, and just when Piper and Orndorff and Orton come out, just the crowd
swagger down the ring, the swagger down there.
And that weird guy with the sweater leading them down.
We completely
forgot
sweater vest.
We completely forgot
Austin at 19.
Yeah, but we completely forgot another classic one. Shawn at 12.
Shawn at 12.
The zip line.
Yeah, with the zip line.
With Jose Lothario going.
Yep. From high above,
Charlotte from WrestleMania 34 in the helicopter.
Yeah. The Shield at 29.
In the helicopter.
34 or the Shield at 29.
Whatever. Gives a shit about the number. Jesus.
That's why they just call it WrestleMania now.
Charlotte recreated Triple H's entrance at 34.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about the one in the helicopter. So
yeah, that was 35. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the Shield in the helicopter at 29 was cool as well. Yeah, that's all I could think of off the top of my head. So, and then back to other questions. Arthur asks, why would they take the European title off of Owen on Raw instead of doing the title change at 14? Because it would have made sense.
Was hurt too.
And he was hurt too, so let's see what else was there. I'm trying to go back through the beginning of the comments. Ricky says, do they still make Surge's drinks?
I thought they started remaking them.
Yeah.
Like every like summer, you would see some soda make some kind of resurgence. Wow, say that 5 times fast. Like a couple years ago, like Tab came back, which I love, but then they got rid of it. And then Walt remembers this one. They did Pepsi Classic, or what was it called? Was it Classic Pepsi or something like that? Pepsi Retro, I think it was.
Pepsi Retro.
Yeah, it was
Pepsi.
Throwback Pepsi. That was it. It was Pepsi made with real sugar, like not high fructose corn syrup and stuff.
And it was so good. They don't do it anymore.
Nope, they won't do that anymore.
No, they're back to the fructose.
They did that with Mountain Dew as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Ugh. Oh, dude, what's that stuff that Libel used to drink? Livewire?
He was a Mountain Dew guy. Mountain Dew Red or something.
Mountain
like
Dew
that.
Livewire, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Livewire. I think that was that.
Yeah, it was gross. Yeah. I remember I scoffed at drinking Mountain Dew, and he got really offended.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do. As Scott knows, I don't do the soda game anymore. The only soda you'll ever catch me drink is honestly at this point root beer.
Occasionally have a Pepsi once in a while, but I am mainly a seltzer guy. I drink a lot of seltzer.
Yeah.
They also did Crystal Pepsi as well and all that.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was a little while back. Yeah, when Crystal Pepsi came back for a short time. Anyways, some other questions. Ricky's asking, he says, I already know Levi's thoughts about this, but Khali in the Hall of Fame thoughts. Let's be real. The only reason he's in is because they're running out of people to put in. That's
right. Yeah. So
honestly,
I would go more in depth, but Ricky already.
If you have a
knows
good
how
relationship with WWE, then you're going to be in.
You noticed it was just
too.
announced in the tweet. It was not announced on like the bump or like anybody coming on there to bring him on to tell him like they did with Molly and with Kane. Yeah. So yeah, they see how much it really gives a shit about putting him in there.
Exactly. Not to mention you go back to the first year he was there.
Cena again, though. I want him to sing the John Cena.
Oh god! And you go back and it also.
No bump, baby. No bump, baby.
He was also rude to my son, so fuck Khali, anyways.
Yes. Yeah, but this was the trouble.
He was rude to my kid in Access.
Yes, he was. Yep. This was the travel group. Imagine this crew: Great Khali, Mark Henry, Hornswoggle.
Oh, Lord.
Shit!
That was the
One
travel.
Of these things just doesn't belong here.
Yeah. And Hornswoggle would give Khali shit all the time. He'd order him like cheeseburgers when they sat down to eat and stuff because he wouldn't speak English. He wouldn't talk. So like
Hornswoggle, that Khali could speak English. Look at him in the longest yard. He was able to speak English just fine.
But just to piss him off, he'd order him like cheeseburgers and shit, even though he can't eat them as a Hindu. So I want chicken. He'll have a cheeseburger. No, chicken.
But anyways,
my son was young at the time. He was a kid. He was like 6, I think, 5 or 6. And he had a choice. He could have gotten a 3-in-1 shot with Big E, Dolph Ziggler, and AJ Lee, or Great Khali. He chooses Khali. So he kind of brought it on himself.
Yeah, lesson learned.
Yeah,
he probably would have gotten a hug from AJ.
Oh yeah, he would have.
Also, speaking of the Hall of Fame, Rob Van Dam's going in.
Yep.
Heyman basically spoiled it, doing the taunt.
Yes.
I think Heyman ended up inducting him, so I don't think we're going to get Sabu to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. But it makes sense. If there's anybody else to do it, it's Paul. So
yeah.
Oh, and before I introduce him, and by the way, Vince Paul, fuck you for inducting him first and not me because I did all his shit long before he did. Anyways, here's Rob Van Dam.
Ricky then asks, how much do you want bet Sean did blow on Sonny's tits back in the day before Sonny blew Sean? That's not out of the question.
I believe it.
It was wild times.
I would believe that too, because we knowing how Sean was back then.
Was
acceptable
in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, it was the 90s, man.
Yeah. It was the 80s back when Misty High was blowing Tommy Rich.
That's right.
Oh, God.
With Jake Roberts backwash.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Jesus. And then, of course, the infamous clip from One Night Only, the pre-show, where fucking Sean's fingering Sonny while they're doing the interview. Because you can hear it in her voice, like, oh, shit. Mm-hmm. Holy crap.
Yep.
Oh.
Hmm.
Oh, Missy Hyatt did more blowing than the wind. Zach just.
Yeah, she did.
That was a good one.
It was faster up, or in the 90s.
No, absolutely not.
2000s maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But 80s and 90s, Missy Hyatt was pretty damn hot.
Yeah.
90s Sonny and Missy together. Whoo, man, way better than Wrestle Vixens ever was.
Yeah, which featured 2000 Sonny and Missy. No thank you.
Yeah. Mm.
The 90s Sonny would be the only chance to buy.
That's true, yeah.
Yes. I will agree with you on that.
Well, we know a time when Walt. We know a time when Sonny was seeing stars.
Yeah. Missy was involved in that too.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Oh.
Moving on.
Oh,
Moving on.
Okay.
Moving on.
Okay, Sean.
Moving on.
Oh! Did you put that in there? I was young. I was stupid. You told me girls bought that magazine. Oh, come down, Sean. It's not like you're an altar boy or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on.
Moving on.
I don't give a shit what people say. 2006 DX was awesome. Fuck you.
Oh, that was fun.
It was fun. It was fun.
Playing off the whole.
And you know what's funny? You know what's funny? You know what's funny? I hear people who complain about 2006 DX as being the start of them going PG. Since when is saying cock and dick on live television PG? Never, you dumbass.
Having orgasms with mustard.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, Jesus.
Simulated oral sex with lesbian simulation too. I mean, come on.
Oh my God, yeah.
I just watched that one night only.
Mr. McMahon sized cocktail wieners and the DX sized foot long. And it's just looking back on, like, the way Sean was during that period was perfect. He was being like the innocent one because of him being born again, and it fit perfectly. It's like his sense of humor never changed. It's just in the way it came out changed, which was perfect. So Triple H
wasn't Mr. Fuji.
Exactly my point. Or it's
hey Sean, look, it's Mr. Fuji.
It's women's locker room. Yeah, we're going in, aren't we? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just went ahead and watched that HBK promo from One Night Only because I never seen it. I just watched it on YouTube. I feel so fucking bad for Chris Candido, man.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone seemed to love Chris.
Yeah.
And apparently he was a good stand-up guy. He didn't deserve to have that.
No, he did not. So I don't care whatever problems Tammy and him were having. It doesn't mean that Tammy, you just go fucking around behind his back, or he knew about it and was just mad about it. And then there's other people saying Chris had this thing going too. Like, I don't know about that, honestly. So, I mean, who's to know? It's between two people, and one of them, unfortunately, isn't here anymore. So,
yeah. And it sucks.
Which I will bet you why Tammy is like the way she is now, because she's holding on to a lot of guilt.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've said it many times in the past, especially when it came to all them arrests. It was like, I was to the point where I'm just like, Sonny, you either need help or you need to be 302'd and put in jail, because it's like you want the best for her to not end up one of them tragic stories, but at the same time, she ain't doing herself any favors by being a constant bitch to people.
No.
That's where I draw the line. If you're going to be a bitch to somebody for absolutely no reason, then see ya. It's not going to bother.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's an ongoing saga that who knows if it'll ever stop, or if it's going to stop, it's either going to stop with her being clean or being dead. And I don't want the latter to happen.
I got a hug from Sonny. I just remembered I got a hug from Broome County Arena. It was an ECW show. She was there. And she was just out in the lobby, just hanging out and signing because everybody recognized her. I went up to her, and the crowd, of course, this is the classy ECW crew. This is upstate New York. They're chanting in the hall, mind you. The show hasn't even started. They're chanting, "Show your tits, show your tits." And she just like rolled her eyes, shook her head. I said, guys, if you really want her tits, they're on eBay. And she goes, thank you, and gave me a hug. And everybody went, oh, because I got a hug and they didn't.
Nice.
And but my wife was there too. I'm like, I got a hug from Sonny. No, you didn't.
Meanwhile, she's flopping over Mike Awesome.
And Bill Effner was there, and Bill Effner's like, no, he did.
Bill's such a nice guy too.
I love Bill.
I met him in Ring of Honor, man. He was such a nice guy. Like,
sweet dude.
I felt bad because I was doing ring crew and he like came up to me and was talking to me a little bit and he wanted to have like this big long conversation. I was busy trying to do my work, I'm trying to work. Like, I'm so sorry, Bill. I have to do this now. Oh, okay, no problem. I was like, I could have had a conversation with Bill after, for fuck's sake, and I gotta go set up fucking guardrails and shit. But pay you dues.
Bill Effner, buddy, Bill. Not Bill.
I'm saying Bill Apner. Sorry, Bill Apner.
Oh, okay. I said Bill.
The internet fucked it up. I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
I thought I heard Apter.
So did I. That's why I said it.
After.
If you had said dollar bill, if you said dollar bill, I wouldn't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I said boo.
Dollar Bill was with me. I got the hug. I told Jen. Jen didn't believe me. And Dollar Bill, that monotone Dollar Bill voice. No, he did.
No, he did. Okay. Now I hear it. See, I heard Bill after. That's exactly.
Bill after.
Bill after who?
After when?
Oh god. But yeah, like like you guys talking about like getting hugs from ladies. I remember the closest I ever came to meeting people within wrestling. Valentine's Day 2005, my brother Rue and I went to Monday Night Raw. It was to go home. Even though No Way Out was SmackDown pay-per-view, they were building up No Way Out that night, so it was technically like the go home Raw to No Way Out when Batista was showing up after the main event. And me, my brother, and my dad were in the truck getting ready to head back home, and this car pulls up next to us, and it's these two ladies asking my dad for directions to the interstate. It was Christy, Hemme, and Candice Michelle in that car. And nice. Candice had just done this big angle on the highlight reel that night where she almost showed her tits until Muhammad Hassan showed up. And Christy done this angle where she revealed that she was on Playboy, and Trish trying to tell her that if you pose for Playboy, you're a slut. Well, sleeping with everybody in the locker room makes you a slut, Trish. Slap, building up their match to 21. So...
Yep, I got a hug from Mickie James before she was Mickie James.
I am so jealous. I am so
She's short
jealous.
too, man. She's really fucking short too.
5'4", yeah.
Yeah.
So she was sweet. I got a hug from her too. So.
Yep.
Mickie James for the longest time was like my big wrestling crush. You have no idea. And she was one of the few people in the business I wish I could have met in person, and probably could have been her best friend. I don't know, because I know she loves...
She was a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Carino's sister, Allison Danger.
Allison Danger? Yep. Got a hug from her, too. She was
awesome. Stephanie, Trinity was really
Trinity, yep. She was cool. Yep. What was the other? Mischief, of course. Mischief is awesome.
Mischief, yep.
And
Mischief.
yeah, her.
Simply Luscious.
Yeah, I mean, it's luscious.
Wasn't she with Carino at that time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, she loved telling people about it.
Yeah, and then she'd go off and hang all over Oman.
Yes. Yeah, she hang over everything.
Weird.
That was like Carino just getting played, whether he wanted to admit it or not, because she was just with him for the position. Let's just face it. Not the position.
Dad, he was lonely. He's happy now.
He's good on Carino. Hey, Carino, man, he got Missy. He got some of Missy. So I know it was 2000 Missy.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I told you that story.
When was this?
This was like this was mid 2000s. He was doing the Japanese stuff, and the story goes that it's a long ass story. I'm not going to get the whole thing down. I'll find.
Who told it? Him or Missy?
He did. It was a High Spots interview. It was Steve Carino and what's his nuts? Rise of the Fall.
CW?
Rise of the Fall got fired. Writer dude, short guy, emo kid. That was his name. Help me out, people. Come on.
Jimmy Jacobs.
Jimmy Jacobs, that's it.
Jimmy Jacobs.
So it was those two doing a shoot interview, and Carino's had like 6 beers and downing a bag of Twizzlers, by the way. And
which kind? Normal or the pull-off?
Pull-off kind, I guess.
Yeah, the pull-offs are
and
nice.
goes off on the whole story about him and Missy hooking up. And the long and short of it is, no pun intended, he goes down to stay with Dory Funk and Marty Funk. And Missy's going to stay there too. So Carino sits downstairs with Dory because Dory has this 90-minute Broadway on tape of him and Jack Briscoe. And you say that to Carino, he's like, ooh, So
yeah,
he goes downstairs. Yes, please. Thank you. He goes to tell him this. He goes downstairs to watch the match, and off in the corner is Dory's bedroom. Thank you. And there's another bedroom on this side. Well, they sit down, they start watching the match, and Dory's like, all right, have a good night. Dory gets up and leaves, but doesn't go to his room, which is over there. That's weird. So Steve just sits and watches the match. The door opens, and out comes Missy. And this is after a whole weekend of those two kind of getting on each other's nerves and then being friends and then getting on each other's nerves. She sits down next to him and is all like, what are you doing? I'm watching this awesome match. Really? Is that all you're doing? Uh-oh. Something's about to happen. And as it turns, she takes Steve because Steve was putting over how much he loved Eddie Gilbert. And of course, the connection there. Missy takes Steve into the room and they start working. And as Steve tells the story, she's a hell of a seller. And she's like putting his shit over. And he's like, I know I'm not that good, but wow. and the kicker to the story, I swear to God, I'm quoting Carino here. Remember, he's drunk off his ass, so he's got to be telling the truth, right? They're in the middle of going at it, and Missy turns. She must have been on all fours or something. Missy, if there's any kids listening right now, shut your freaking ears. Too late. Missy turns around to Steve and says, fuck me, hot stuff, fuck me. And Steve,
she was
fulfilling a childhood dream. Because, as he admits, Missy was the first guy that he punched the clown to. So, hey, dreams do come true. Dreams do come true.
Oh, my God. Please, I hope somebody clipped that just now.
Go ahead.
Holy.
What did I just hear? You heard the story.
You heard a hell of a story there, Zach. And honestly, I can't think of a better way to end this than that. I'll be honest. Oh, that was fucking fantastic.
Can't top that.
Nothing can top that, so we might as well end it while we're at the top. So,
that story.
While we're on top of Zev.
And that's my dream for you, kid.
Well, you know what's funny? Ricky said that he thinks that I would wish for a hug, maybe more from Zev. I would take a hug. I mean, I wouldn't want to do anything else just because she's married.
You would take acknowledgement.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
She's acknowledged me many times. Come on.
Yeah. And plus,
I've
you know where,
and then some.
Honestly, you know where she's been. Do you want to go there too? You know? I mean, come on, guys. Ask yourself that question. It'd be nice just to be, hello, how you doing?
Especially when it comes to Missy Hyatt. That's a
especially when it comes to Missy Hyatt. Oh, my God.
But with Zev...
Just have to ask everybody.
But anyways, all right, so enough about all that, because don't get me started. See, now you got me started. All right.
Sweet ass.
So Scott, remind us again, what's the cure for hemorrhoids?
It's a sweet ass.
All right, so that'll do it for this week's episode. Real quick plug time. Scott, you begin.
All right, find me on YouTube channel Mr. Scott Reacts, please, where I'm doing reaction videos to all kinds of cool stuff. You also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. Scott Reacts. I'm also on Twitch, just like Levi, but it's under Mr. Scott Rocks. I usually plug in my bass and I jam away. Levi has stopped in, Lindsay stopped in, some other folks stopped in to say hi, so please stop in and do that. I would appreciate it. Also, I'm wearing the t-shirt of the Merkins because I'm hoping to be doing something with them relatively soon. We shall see what that may become. So fingers crossed here, but things are in the works. Let's just say that much. And I'll throw it over to Walter where he can tell you where you can find us on Podcasting World.
You can find me and Scott, along with our good friends, writers Tom Clark and Skip Novak, and wrestler and fellow podcaster Sergeant Fury Dan Roberts, on the Necrocasticon, where we talk about the best in horror and metal and more. And you can find us every Monday on Spotify or Stitcher or wherever else you get your fine ass podcasting.
Where do you find you, Walt? Walt, where do we find you?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at YourWaltBall, and you can find me on Instagram at smoking_Walt_ball.
Yeah, and hopefully I can come back on the Necrocasticon at some point, because it's been 1.5 years since I've been on there.
Yeah, man, we've got a lot of people lined up, so sorry.
I know. I figured it's...
Who's the name that you got hooked us up with, or Tom did, that he wants you on that show for? Who was that?
2 Minutes Late Night?
No, someone we actually have booked. The guy from The Sword or something like that?
Oh, yeah. The lead guitarist from The Sword.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot his name. Kyle Hit or something like Kirk or something like that.
I'll look it up. Anyways, James?
You can find me on my YouTube at We Are Pro Wrestling. I'm near the end of my WrestleMania season. This coming week, I'm going to be covering WrestleMania 22. The following week, WrestleMania 15. You can follow me on Twitter at WAPW_wrestling.
And finally, you can subscribe to me on YouTube, ThrashManiac99. I'm getting close to 3,100 subscribers. Been mostly doing like album reviews and the 5 questions series, which, hey, there's room for one more question. Somebody better get on it. If you want to ask me a question for next week's episode, go right ahead. You can follow and or subscribe to my Twitch, ThrashManiac99. That's really where my things I've been going to has been Twitch. I've just been enjoying live streaming over there more than doing YouTube videos right now. But things can easily change on a dime. I actually plan on streaming on Twitch tomorrow, which will be fun. You can follow me on Twitter, ThrashManiac99, and you can now follow me on Instagram at ThrashManiac_YT. So, I haven't posted anything on there yet, but I will eventually. And last but certainly not least, subscribe to the Shadow Called YouTube channel. We're at 70. We're 30 away from 100. Get us to that 100 mark. That would be great. And a couple quick announcements. First, regarding my Twitch, as I said earlier, we hit the community challenge of 30,000 channel points raised. So that means April 7th on a Wednesday from 10 a.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern, I will be live for 12 straight hours. What the hell am I going to do for 12 hours? I got to think of a plan. I want to do something special for it, no doubt. Maybe some biddies, subscriber goals, and I'll do something stupid like I did one time. I think it was for the New Year's Eve stream. I did something like that. And then last but certainly not least, regarding the Shadow Cold YouTube channel, Scott and I have talked about it. We're thinking about bringing back Minecraft as a series on that channel. I'm thinking about reviving the old Treehouse series, because that was so much fun last year when it was you, I, Scott, Dylan, Jake, and Riley all hanging out together, having a good time. Thinking about wanting to bring that back because, God, it's been so long and it was so great. Maybe if Lindsay's Radman VPN will actually work, she can join in too.
Yeah. Oh, I got to re-download that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I can help you out with that in case you need it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. That does it for this week, although upcoming schedule. Next week we're talking Mania 17 with Ricky, aka Horror Master, and Chronix from the Most Extreme Wrestling coming in for the first time. And then after that, a special Sunday afternoon episode where we are talking WrestleMania 37 Night 1 and predictions for Night 2. And then we go normal schedule from that moment on, including May 1st, the 1-year anniversary special, the Watch Along of Heroes of Wrestling. Yes! Jesus Christ, this is gonna be fun.
Bring the popcorn.
Yeah, bring the popcorn and
beer.
drinks. We're gonna need it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. We shall see you next week. But before we go, we're going to raid my pal Lainey on Twitch. So who are watching on Twitch, go give her some love, because she's new to Twitch, and she's a good friend of mine and Ricky's now, part of the Texas group, as I call them. But we'll all see you next week.